I promise not to shout, even though I do feel like shouting. In defense of all people who are persecuted in the world, against Donald Trump, against Hillary Clinton, against Obama, against Putin, against Trump, against all Trump supporters, against Farage, and all of these pompous, posh individuals who are bad leaders. I represent decent people. We don't want the likes of you telling our police and civil servants and professionals how to behave, what we should believe, and how you're claiming to say that all your racist runts, all your racist public shoutings and hooligans going around saying you're proud to be British is a load of nonsense. You are a racist thug, all of you, who have persecuted people who look Pakistani, Indian, and Arab. And so in defense of all people who are being persecuted, not only the Palestinians, I'm speaking against them. They control the media. They control all the equipment for surveillance and for mapping systems and all the modern technologies, including Boris Johnson, who is a liar, and all of them who are the thief of migrants' children. And no one wants to listen to you. No one wants to honor you. You've already been sent to prison for your hate speeches against the migrants living in England or living in America. So for me to say I am anti-Trump, it does not mean I am now for Joe Biden. Trump and Joe Biden, both left-wing and right-wing, are, in fact, looking to create a crisis among the whites versus the black and among the migrants versus the natives. And so the true Jew is against the residents and the natives, who are the taxpayers, who are claiming that all migrants are bad. So this is racism to the core. And I'm not backing down. Going on social media is the worst thing I've ever done. And I regret it, but I'm not backing down. For example, I was automatically passed on for my so-called good-looking photograph to these Nazis and these tyrants from Trump supporters because they said it was a good-looking picture. And I look thin in the face. And they passed me on automatically to him. And then I jumped to Hillary Clinton. And then the Holy Spirit showed me about her. And so both of them are clones. Both of them are a Frankenstein government. All of them, including Putin, are some type of artificial intelligence, some type of unnatural alien that wants to make this new world order where they dominate society and dictate society, how we should think, how we should behave, what we should wear, what we should say, what we should not say. And so they're in control of our gender, of our grammar, of our religion. So they're saying that it is now fascist and socialist to be a Christian. You must automatically belong to Trump. And they want to separate the world and society in England and the globe, all the countries in the world, split us all into half. You either belong to China and Russia and other countries, or you belong to Trump and India and England and their leaders. And I'm saying this is very bad leadership because it is satanic, it's demonic. We don't want the likes of you to exist, let alone teach to us or preach to us your lies and your principalities of darkness and hate, crime. So I want them to quit, and they won't quit. They won't stop. They've only jumped out of me from YouTube and from Facebook into real life. They have purchased Hamas. They're saying these bad leaders are saying that they're anti-Nazis and tyrants when they themselves are Nazis and tyrants. Exactly. And so many of these Arabs are doing this, and including the situation with September 11th. They pre-programmed it, they pre-planned it, they even made poetry of what they're doing for the emperor of the New World Order, backdated to 2002. It's now 2024. So I'm going to be taking the responsibility and stand up and say, oh, no, you don't. People who are decent and who are normal, such as me, are not having to listen to these bad leaders who are calling themselves legends, who are calling themselves false heroes. For what? For your white fascist, socialist, neo-Nazi, tyrannical personality disorder of the North-South cycle? And so they're too aggressive. They're too much into vandalism, into civil unrest, into provoking people to anger, into violating people's privacies. All very, very similar. Those in the left-wing extremist and the right-wing extremist are as bad as each other, collecting information of the most vulnerable people and target them for abuse. These are thuggish behavior. It's maddening behavior. I had problems last night in my neighborhood of them using equipment, which is new technology equipment, of what sounds like a dog robot. And when I was following Ben Shapiro, he showed me that the army of Israel has a robot dog. So this is what they want to give to the police in the future, to chase us with the army of robots. They want to have the robots take over our jobs because it's their revenge against God's people. Wait for it. And against the migrants who they claim have stolen their jobs, stolen their homes, and cursed them as a curse of destruction. Condemn them. Because it's because of you, Tommy Robertson, if you're listening to this, that reasons why so many refugees and asylum seekers are coming, and so many of them from all walks of life are coming from Europe to live in England as legal migrants, and many cases illegal migrants, because of your stupid, incompetent government that has allowed it and then at the same time blamed it on innocent migrants. So I noticed also it's about capitalism and colonialism. If it's a legal migrant who is rich and employed in the working class, they won't target systemic abuse on us. It's only those who have been tortured and who have been discriminated against for their gender and for their race and for the fact that they have been tortured in systemic abuse. There's no escape. So I want audience to understand this. And so if it wasn't for the fact that these pathetic, immature individuals haven't gone bad-mouthing me, insulting me, and created a hostile environment, my daughter wouldn't have been separated from me. So this is a fact. This is what I have learned. But any expectations I had of my local council, which is Hertfordshire, it was turned around into a protest. I did not make any protest. I just simply said, I have my boundaries. I have my own territory. And I know I'm poor. You don't have to blurt it out in my face, shout at me, snap at me, discriminate against me about my poverty, about the fact that I don't have top-notch equipment like you do. For it is about your property. And so this is a huge problem for people who are suffering poverty and in social housing. We don't have the advantage of the same opportunity for safety and for protections, or even if we have got a fence, even if we have CCTV cameras and footage to film the antisocial behavior and to film them, the criminals. I'm not a criminal, but even if I did have that equipment, it would still not be for my benefit because of my status as being unemployed and not in the working class. So again, this is a huge problem because it's one law for the rich and for the working class and another law for the poor. And they want to get rid of, again, this is all to do with the far right government. They want to get rid of state benefits. They want us to be beggars on the street. They treat us the same as homeless. They want to remove our civil rights. All of this has happened because of Brexit. And it's no. It's awful. Because of Brexit, many businesses are liquidized. Because of Brexit, more billionaires are leaving countries as worst hypocrites after bombing countries to go and live into locations that does not belong to them. And so I'm paying attention to what they're doing because they've also changed the way the passport looks. They've changed laws to suit these criminals and to suit these multi-billionaires who are in fact oppressing the poorest through Agenda 21 and through our race and our gender, both left, right and centre. And so it's a farce. It's a famous fart. Or I'm going to go and shake my hand with a football player. Or I'm going to go to shake my hand with a boxer over there. Or I am friendly with Joe Rogan, who is in the left, and I'm in the right. So that means I am social. And I'm saying, no, it means that you're more antisocial, that you're a bit of both. And how pathetic you are because you never grow up. You always have to go and target people who are most vulnerable. In the debate that Trump had most recent with Joe Biden, that said he wants to find out people who are weak, who are unemployed, and he wants to get rid of me. He wants me to pack my bags as a European migrant for my unemployed status. Make me even more unemployed, have less opportunities to be employed. Make me feel that I cannot exist in my own community, my own Christian community. I cannot be called a Christian because I cannot be a fascist and a socialist. Make me have to put up with their relics and their things that they have stolen from holy relics, such as a Hanukkah lamp, and say it now belongs to the fascist and socialist society. It does not belong to people who refuse to be socialist and fascist society, and things that are very expensive. And so they've stolen a religion, they've stolen many shops and a business. And it's all to do with the extreme masculinity, extreme feminists, regarding the gender and regarding your race. And so this is awful. This is across the world that's happening. And I want to remember what these tyrants are doing, of course, that they could change the law so much so. In the debate with Biden and Trump had said, quote, he could even have the power to detain all migrants, particularly the Arabs and those who look Pakistani, even the European who are unemployed, and deport them out of the country, even if they have got a British citizenship. And so even if they are a legal migrant, they still have to get out. So to empower such individuals and such racist leaders, it's the same as Germans or the Serbians, the people in my own country, which are rapists and robbers. And they mistreat women and children. They separate children from their parents. They insult these fascist and socialist individuals, slave masters, such as all Donald Trump supporters, who then when they found out information about systemic abuse, which they have illegally obtained, my information, and spied on me, then they passed me on to Jonathan Pye, the comedian, who has said I had saggy tits, and he wants me to be part of his group. And I'm saying, no, get lost. Number one, you invaded me, and number two, you insulted me. It's no way to talk to a friend. And it's no way to speak to a mother. I'm not a whore. You're the effing whore. And so I'm outraged that he has all the freedom through his political correctness to be a bit of both. And Jonathan Pye is horrible, and so are so many of these politicians who are a bit of both. And so I'm against Tommy Robinson. I'm against Farage, because they have put in our society thoughts in our head as a society at large to be anti-migrants. But they say it is really the refugees, the Syrians, the people from Afghanistan. And yet they bomb the shit out of them. And where are they supposed to go for a safe zone when you haven't taken the responsibility to give them a safe zone in their own countries that you're bombing? If you stop bombing them, then they could stay where they are and remain relatively safe. And so it's not the problem with the refugees and the asylum seekers in defense of them, and whether they're rich or poor. It is the fact that you're bombing and destroying their land and destroying their families and destabilizing their homes. That's why they have come to England and to America and to other places in the world of nations and countries that could take them, only so that they can be in the safe zone, since the government who has bombed them and the army generals have not given them a safe zone, who are innocent civilians and children and fathers. They cannot have personal hygiene. They cannot have intimate relationships with their wives in concentration camps, in detention centers. They have to lose their identity. They don't know who they are. They've lost their documents. They don't feel beautiful. They're constantly demonized. They're constantly in a hurry. They cannot rest. And yet they do have skills as engineers and as workers to do the dirty, filthy jobs that you, pathetic Tommy Robinsons, your English pathetic race would not touch these jobs. And at the same time, you're complaining about migrants stealing your jobs when you wouldn't work in those jobs anyway. So stop lying. Stop cheating. The irony of all of this has made me very angry, that they have said, oh no, it's not European migrants, it is only the Arab migrants. And so again, complication and confusion. No, they're lying. Stop lying and cheating people, of the humblest people of justice. You have mixed it all up as witches do. And so I'm looking at all the female animals. They're saying that they are as animals and they are mentally insane, when in fact this is the other way around. As all the female animals, cows, mares, bitches, witches, all of those female animals, that they are behind all of this hostility. So we're looking at the bad leaders who are men, but the bad leaders who are working up and winding up these men because they're having sex with them and in control of their penis. That's why they've made this a toxic society, because of the evil woman telling these evil men what to do. And they're taken over. They've taken over my neighborhood. They've taken over my town, my shop, my economy, the growth of the currency, and how money is being developed through digital thing, and how freedom of speech and censorship is being blocked, and it's only there to serve the very rich and the very powerful through politics. So they've taken over everything to enslave society and humanity again by these tyrant leaders. So I'm against Tommy Robertson. I'm against all extremists. But they're the ones who are the human animal cursed. As a bull, as an elephant, as a buck, as being very cocky and being some type of an army or crew police individual who is saying that they're there to protect their children from being robbed and raped from the Arab migrants or the black migrant. They've always put someone who comes from the mental health institution. And again, they've mixed me up, who was grieving for losing my child and having injustice being created through partial judges, who is the enemy, and my entire family being destroyed, my entire home being destabilized by these individuals who are making a hostile environment, stalkers and spies who are younger than me, they're 20 years younger than me. How have they got military equipment to put secret cameras in my loft, to fly around drones, to have a robot animal going around threatening me for 2 or 3 hours in the middle of the night? Who gives them that power? It's the local authority, the councils, the police already pre-know that, and they're waiting for my reaction to provoke me to anger. So entirely, this is a hate crime and an organized crime targeting against me. Now, if I wasn't in a social isolating situation, number one, for the pandemic and the lockdown, that I'm still recovering from that, and number two is that I've had to worry about my daughter, who's become desensitized, and they're looking to demoralize, dehumanize me on social media, defame me on social media, accuse me of having a relationship with married men, to reduce me to rubbish. And again, this is what they are doing. The same leaders concentrating on me, the same empire, the same scum. And I call them so-called scum because they've cut my life to pieces. Literally cut me to pieces. They've cut my ovary at the NHS. They shouldn't have cut my ovary, which is similar to hysterectomy. They did not give me an alternative treatment for an overgrown polycystic ovary, which they have injected through family contraception clinics that had poisoned my ovary, and I had suffered for 14 years. They've cut it to pieces. They've cut my daughter's life to pieces. And so I haven't forgotten that. I'm not going to forgive that. Everything that they've done in their language, their communication, their slander, their insult involves racist and prejudice things. So I'm not allowed to be a Christian now because I'm a migrant and because I'm not a Donald Trump supporter or Joe Biden supporter or anybody else in England, such as Farage or Boris Johnson, the Brexit Party. Neither the left, neither the right, because they've made these problems of prejudice and being anti-migrant fashion in England. So it's somehow all the migrants' fault. They've designed this news, which is fake news. Every time you hear of a killing in England or in America or in Australia or in Canada, it is satanic. They've made this false news, fake news. They've purchased an assassin, or they've purchased Hamas, or they purchased ISIS, to put the blame on someone and say, look, it's them. It's them. It's the fault of that nation. And the very one who has accepted the money as a terrorist has destroyed his own people. So they're even worse than the tyrant because they've accepted the money. It's all purchased. Every type of terrorism on the news is a member of an agreement for satanic rituals. So every time I hear killing on the news, I know it's because they have an agenda to turn people against migrants. They have an agenda to turn people against mental health people who are involved in mental health institutions. And they have an agenda to turn people against the disabled and the crippled. They call us retards, ugly, fat, bags under eyes, abused, victims. So all these three agendas that they have, also our religion, they have an agenda to say it is religious extremism, targeting the poorest of society that are not attending church and that are praying in private in obedience to Jesus Christ, giving us those instructions to do so. And so we're obedient to God's rules and 10 commandments, and the new commandments, which are about 5 commandments in the New Testament. And so it's not the occult, it's not a New Age movement, it's not even a cult, but it is a culture. It's a Christian culture, which they've stolen it. They've stolen the pudding, they've stolen the cake, they've stolen our children, they've stolen our land, they've stolen our religion. Is there anything else that this hell on earth, which is fascist and socialist, that they haven't stolen? Is there anything left? Even my underwear. They've stolen my underwear. They've stolen my pets at home. They're saying that I'm a child abuser and animal abuser. They're saying that I abuse myself and that I hate my life. So all of this use of language is progressively nitpicking at me and finding fault with me, even if there is no fault, as a type of a vacuum cleaner or hoover, which is abuse. So who would want a tyrant and an abuser to rule? No one in their right mind. And so it's continuous, non-stop abuse. The same as the Nazis of Hitler who were marching through the street and demanding, but what I have discovered through new technology, they can do it as an invisible enemy. As expressing competition and challenge. What they're going to overtake and how are they going to be distinctive and different in the negative sense compared to God's people who are different in the positive sense. So I think this needs to be put out into the public, how they're making a problem out of migrants, out of the disabled. They will lie and cheat the humblest of people and will change the laws and implement policies that affect the most vulnerable to harm us and to hurt us. They make rules to suit criminals. Jesus has died so that the bad history is not repeated, so that the murderer and the kidnapper is not set free. And Jesus had worked very hard all his life doing God's will to enable miracles and mercy and experience a humility, while the enemy is making us have humiliation, violation of our privacy, and the enemy is doing the opposite of Jesus Christ. And everything that Jesus has done that was necessary to fix and to recover from being executed and resurrect from the dead and complete his mission on earth is done. He's the ultimate authority. However, the tyrant constantly feels it's unfinished business. So there's nothing that the devil hasn't already done or going to do that God doesn't know about. I want to concentrate on God's mercies in my life. All activities I do is there to praise God. I don't accept or tolerate abusers that are calling me these horrible accusations and making my life more difficult. And it is constantly being beaten up black and blue by them. Their interpretation, their validation, and everything that I do, every aspect of my life, they want to dominate and destabilize. So I'm very angry by that. My independence, my territory, my human rights and civil rights, my freedoms and liberties are obviously being affected by individuals such as Tommy Robinson, who are ranting about into the public of extremism when he himself is extremism. So it's never ending. And so they think he's perfect because he's boosted the testosterone of men who are very angry in the street, saying that they're overtaken by migrants. It's their country. Yeah, see how you like it after you've bombed the shit out of their country. So it's about time that these governments take responsibility rather than blaming and shaming the migrants and the refugees. And they shouldn't be called refugees. They're not rubbish. It's you that is rubbish. Dispossessing them of their land and their homes and turning them into slaves. It's all the slave masters and tyrants that are rubbish. They're not travelling here as tourists. They're coming here to get a safe zone after you've bombed the shit out of them and destroyed their resources to live. So I believe that we should have enough, that these boats that are coming across the channels and waters should be accompanied by authorities, return them back to their original place, support them with translators of their own language and communication, of course, smile at them, don't shame them, support them with their government, to be protected and to have a safe zone wherever they came from. But don't make a fashion through your fascist and socialist filthy, dirty attitude to say it's all the migrants' fault. We're the ones who are destroying this country. No, it's your government that's your incompetent government that's destroying the country. As simple as that. And so since Tommy Robinson has someone to bail him out of prison and told him what to say, he's the enemy of the peoples. I want nothing to do with them, and yet somehow they're interested in killing a bear, killing a horse, in the same sense as killing me or murdering me, and say that I'm a human animal for sleeping on the floor. No, I'm sleeping on the floor because I was crawling, and it's easier for me to clean my bed. It doesn't squeak. It doesn't wobble anymore. And same as the Japanese. I like being floor level because of my disability. I do sometimes have to crawl on the floor. I don't have a passive voice. I'm not passive aggressive. And so there's no moderate level. There's no modesty. It's all extremism. Look at me. I have this much money in the bank. Let's go out and enjoy ourselves on holidays without having any problems because we all are Donald Trump supporters and he owns the bank. So I believe that George Soros is against Donald Trump. He also owns the bank. So what makes me angry, similar to Bloody Mary, I'm not Bloody Mary, is, it's a joke, is that they would kick you while you're already down as if they're kicking a ball for football. And at the same time, they're calling themselves Superman, calling themselves Star Wars and leaders and celebrities. So they've broken the spirit of people who are suffering and struggling in life and gloating over our problems which they have created. This is not liberty, this is tyranny. And it's lasting for a very long time. It's as mad as hell. And so to call out or expose them can endanger my life. But I'm not going to back down forever. My social media was for the purpose of being social. Nothing else. Not political. And not for the purpose of myself becoming a tyrant. But if I had the money, if I had politics and politicians on my side, I would find my own voice and my own policy against them. Because they're thieves. That's what they are. They're robbers and thieves. They cause violence and violation against women and children. And even their own friends. That's no way to talk to a friend. In such a perverse way. Manners, bad manners. How the hell have they become the future substitute of how we should govern our country in England? How did burglars, rapists and robbers and thieves, not only focusing on the black migrants, not only focusing on the Arab migrants, not only focusing on Asian migrants or criminals, but looking at the white criminals, which I have realized that Tommy Robinson is avoiding. He won't say anything bad about his own people, about his own criminal. That's why he's put in prison over and over again, and he should stay there. And it makes me so angry that his pinkish reddish face comes out onto the camera as some type of butch, cocky male going on about protect your children, protect your families. Oh, the migrants have done this and the migrants have done that. They've robbed us. We need more police on the street because the burglar hasn't been caught. You are the burglar who has brought such disruption in our lives. Because you, Tommy Robinson, only focus on the migrants. You don't focus on the criminals of your own country. That's what makes you an extremist. That's what makes you dangerous. Because you make the situation worse. You're the one who is fueling the fire of hell in England to create civil unrest and civil war. You're the one who has turned people in my local residence and natives in every county, including Farage, Boris Johnson, and all the Brexiters, to look at the generation and say, look at us. I didn't have equal opportunities as you did. We didn't have the same education as you did. We didn't have this and we didn't have that. And you did as a selfish, spoiled brat. You caused us harm. You blocked our opportunity. You added insult to injury against the migrants and made a system, even machines, to target us for abuse. There's nothing worse than that. How could you call yourself a hero? How could you be a politician? What the hell are you doing in Parliament? When at the same time you're causing this negative attention on migrants, treating us as some type of a number? The same thing that the Nazis did, or in a factory on a conveyor belt. Oh, here comes another migrant. This one has this shaped nose. This one is too fat. This one is unemployed. This one's disabled. This one has one leg. This one has no family. That's what they do on a conveyor belt against migrants. Everything. Well, what's next tomorrow? Picking on innocent people's lives that you have ruined by your hate crimes. So let's make a publication and True News as the examples I've given, an explanation as I've given. So no one wants to understand because they just simply pay their taxes to these tyrants and empower them even more. So our lives are not going to be fixed and repaired by God. Our lives, they want to claim our own lives. God says, leave the migrants and the orphans to me. Leave them alone. They've had enough of your interference, and you as a false good guy, as a false hero, that whatever you destroy, you're now going to build in the future tense. For instance, to help the mankind. But the question is, how can you help the mankind when your characteristic is a criminal? There's no affirmative answer. They have become immune from their crimes, and they are Antichrist. Even though they say, oh, it's not a Christian country anymore, it's taken over by mosques and Muslims. Well, so did you destroy the churches by selling churches to politicians? You sold our Christian faith to politicians and said that we now have to belong to a politician if we are going to go to the public church. You've politicized and sold Jesus Christ to your king and to your politics. So which makes you as bad as those that you claim that have mosques and synagogues overtake England. So they've commanded all this. They're ordering people about, saying, oh, you must be a fascist and a socialist, and you must be... They're not fascist and socialist. They've hidden that now. Perfectly hidden the fact that they are socialist, extremist, and fascist. Because they meet each other at the dinner parties. They're colonialists, they're capitalists, and they're also communists. Congratulations in your party and your drinks that you have that I want no part of. Have no idea, even all comedians secretly belong to a certain political campaign, and they make you very tense to be interrogated in a negative sense, as to say that we are subdominant and they're the ones who are more dominant. And so why can't people see this? Why are taxpayers blinded to these conditions? So there's two clauses. There's the left wing and the right wing of government. And they won't leave me alone. I want them to leave me alone. They're troublemakers. They make malice. They cause problems. Main cause of the problem that could happen is being hysterical, such as fireworks, antisocial behaviour, such as robot animals, antisocial behaviour, and other things that they do.